in an earlier video, I narrated the story of arrival of cow Lakshmi in Ramana Ashram. When the cow and calf arrived in Ramana Ashram, Ramana Tata was initially reluctant to accept the cow and calf. However, Ramanathan Brahmachari, a devotee of Ramana Tata, offered to look after the cow and calf. So the cow and calf started living in the ashram. In today's video, I will talk about cow Lakshmi's daily visits to Ramana Ashram. Even though Ramanathan Brahmachari offered to look after the cow and calf, he was very busy and could not look after the cow and calf. So he found a man in town to look after the cow and calf. The cow and calf then started living in the town with the man. After about a year, the man brought the cow and calf to Ramana Ashram. Ramana Tata asked Ramanathan Brahmachari, "Did we not see a cow and calf before?" Ramanathan Brahmachari said, "Yes, it's the same cow and calf that we have seen before." The calf then dashed up to Ramana Tata. Ramana Tata looked at the calf with love. And he started stroking the calf patiently. The man then took the cow and calf back to town. After a few days, the calf came again dashing up to Ramana Ashram. Ramanathan Brahmachari in his looked to see whether the man was there, because they were surprised to see the cow coming. But the man was not actually there. The calf then again dashed to Ramana Tata and he started dancing around Ramana Tata. Ramana Tata looked at the calf with love. He stroked her gently. Then he said, "You can come in the morning, but you must go back in the evening." From that day onwards, cow Lakshmi visited Ramana Ashram daily and Ramana Tata fed her idlis. However, one day the kitchen staff told Ramana Tata, "The idlis got over in the first batch and we're only going to make upma." Then Ramana Tata told the kitchen staff, "You must have saved some idlis for the night shift devotee who has breakfast very late. So please feed those idlis to cow Lakshmi." In earlier videos, I narrated the story of how Ramana Tata loved and accepted all living creatures and how his silent presence attracted everyone. In today's video, I narrated the story of how Ramana Tata cared for all living creatures and devotees. Stay tuned for my next story. Thank you all.
In this video, Anant used several techniques that we've been learning for many years. Our journey with Thinkblocks started over 15 years ago and we used it for a while. So even though we don't use Thinkblocks regularly, we do use the distinction, systems, relationships and perspective method developed by Cabrera Research Lab regularly. Now we are back to Thinkblocks and in a different way. We are integrating theatre tools from Theatre Arts for Holistic Development developed by Dr. Ambika Kameshwar. So it has been an interesting experience to try and explore both of these tools in storytelling. The setup that you see is something we used to use when Anant was in elementary school. So we used to set up different areas as we have done here, one for Ramana Ashramam and one for the town. And we used to set up think blocks for different characters, but we also set up for buildings. For example, we set up one for Ramana Ashramam. And then when we have these different characters, and at that stage Anant was really not needing pictures, so we used to use it this way. So we have key characters such as Ramana Tata and cow Lakshmi, all labeled and available for use in storytelling. In this narration, Anant narrated the story. In those days, I used to narrate most of the story, and then we used to do it together. Now, one big advantage of having a setup like this is that the story can be told over and over again, and the student can progressively take a bigger role in narration. So the repetition is easy, but it's never boring because it can always be done in different ways, and depending on the specific needs of the child, the process can be structured. So for example, if a child is not communicating much orally, they can still use either the blocks with written language or pictures, and they can engage in whatever way works for them. Now, once we have the tool set up like this, gestures and movement are a natural part of it. So for example, Anant several times talked about things like cow Lakshmi started living in town, or cow Lakshmi and the man came back to Ramanashrama. So those kind of movements are naturally shown through gestures. It makes it a little bit easier for children to track what's happening in the story, and we found it very useful to do it. So today Anand's in a different place. He can actually narrate this whole story without any visual props, but if you see how it can be done with visual props, you can use whatever combination of tools works for a specific learner. So hence we thought we will do one story with Thinkblocks. So some suggestions: use Thinkblocks to label each character, and then it's a visual reminder as you narrate the story. You see the setting and you see the different characters in that setting, and that is a visual reminder for storytelling. Distinguish settings. So there's 2 or 3 main settings. Having distinct areas makes it easier to remember. So here we started using scarves, which were a tool that we used in Waldorf, and it was going through Waldorf as he was also learning Thinkblocks and storytelling. So that combination, we started with that combination because the scarves were colorful and there was no color on the Thinkblocks, so it really started blending well. And we also use things like the tree blocks. So we used to have tree blocks, which were also something that we got because of Waldorf, and we used all of these props to tell stories. And very soon we could also use the same thing for reviewing concepts and other academic work. So Thinkblocks have been a part of our journey for a long time. If you don't have Thinkblocks, you can use other objects. In fact, Dr. Derek Cabrera talks about his dad, who used to use whatever was available at the dining table, salt and pepper shaker, whatever he could get, and narrate stories with that. So if you don't have Thinkblocks, go ahead and use other objects. But I do feel that a 3-dimensional object has a different feel than just pictures. So consider the use of 3-dimensional objects and a tactile exploration and not just visual exploration. So when you have challenges such as attention or sitting tolerance and so on, using these kind of props can help the learners stay engaged for a longer period of time. So more on these topics later. We hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you all.